Okay.
Start with that.
Hi, I'm Josh, and I'm here to talk to you today about, oh god, he's actually leaving. Well, it's New Comic Book Day. It is an awesome weeks for comics. Awesome weeks. Thanks for joining me. I'm Josh from Alter Ego Comics. This is Comics Are Awesome, or Alter Ego Comics TV, depending on where you're watching it. And Marc has wandered off, leaving me alone with a camera pointed at my face. So I'd like to have a talk with you about a very real issue bothering America today. Packs of wild dogs have taken over cities throughout the Midwest. St. Louis is basically just a giant kennel now. You're still just gonna let me keep talking.
Keep talking. I forgot the tablet.
We've begun building robots to fight the dogs, but so far they've been too wily. Okay.
You've been entertaining somebody. Oh, maybe it's me.
It's just you, yeah.
Yes.
Sweet.
Oh, Paul's there. Hey, Paul.
Hi, Paul.
Thanks for being here for this strange episode.
Every episode's strange, really. But...
So, I'm Marc.
And I'm Josh.
And we are here to talk about this week's best comic books, and there is a lot to choose from this week. So, let's talk about them, shall we?
We do. We shall.
I'm sorry, what?
What are we
doing? I don't know what Josh is drinking, but I think it's whiskey. My pick of the week is Amazing Spider-Man number 800. This is by Dan Slott and an artistic stable of creators that Mr. Slott has worked with during his tenure on Spider-Man.
And what a tenure.
How long has it been? It's a long time.
10 years, maybe?
Has it been 10 years?
It's got to be close.
It's been a long time. This is a ginormous, extra-sized issue.
Well, One More Day was in the old store, so...
We've been here 9 years.
Yeah, so not quite 10 years.
Yeah, no, it's been a long time.
He wasn't solo writer.
That's right, he was a group of writers.
Right.
But anyway.
My angel. 11 years.
11 years. Thanks, Paul. Thank you very much. See, I'm glad people are out there. Oh, we lost somebody. To help us answer these questions. So, this is the culmination of the Red Goblin, or Go Down Swinging storyline in Amazing Spider-Man. And man, this thing is action-packed. I don't think you could squeeze anything else into this comic. It is everything I wanted it to be and more. We get kind of resolution to a whole bunch of stuff, but also some intriguing little carrots left out there for Nick Spencer's run, perhaps. Nick Spencer does take over the title with issue number 802, which I believe is going to be a new number 1. Slott still has one more issue. 801 is his last issue on Spider-Man. And I don't know why anyone would not pick this up. It's just so good. It's got tons of Spider-Man supporting cast involved. It covers a lot of ground in the history of Peter Parker.
The reason someone might not pick it up is it's $9.99 and it's oversized, and sometimes that's bad. But in this case, it's not. It's one story all the way through, the same writer.
No backups.
It's not backups. Yeah. It's not, here's a Hostess Universe Spider-Man story.
Here's a file story.
Beginning to end, it's all Dan Slott. It all matters. And we get, like you said, a laundry list of awesome artists doing the different sections within it.
Yeah,
top notch.
I think it's at the end here, but it's pretty much everybody that he's worked with in the last 10 years. I don't know how much Nick Bradshaw did with him, but Nick Bradshaw's in there. Umberto Ramos, Giuseppe Camicoli, Stuart Immonen, and Marcos Martin. So I think really there's the one guy that works with Brian K. Vaughan on the Sideways book, not Barrier. Well, maybe it is Barrier. Paulo Rivera is not in here and should probably have been in here. But I think he did a variant cover. Speaking of variant covers, there are a dozen, give or take.
So many.
And... yeah, I like that they have a lot of they're doing what they did with DC did with Action Comics. They've got a lot of Spider-Man artists from the past. Mm-hmm. Most notably to me, Ron Frenz, who I was a big fan of in the 80s. He did the Black Costume, famous issue 262.
Most notably to me...
I don't even know if that's the right issue number. 252, there we go. Someone will correct me.
We've got John Romita Sr. and Mobius. We've got some...
Moby, that bald guy who does techno music? Yeah. And what else? The Mobius cover, by the way, is the cover to the Hooky original graphic novel that came out in the early to mid 1980s. And they also have John Cassaday doing a cover, which is the weakest of the bunch. I'm sorry, I'm not.
Sorry, John.
I know you're not watching John Cassaday, but man, that just blah. Other than that, we do have several customers that wanted multiple covers, and I think that's a testament to Dan Slott and to the art on the covers. And if you're a big-time Spider-Man, you definitely want to check those out. Big-time Spider-Man fan?
If you are a big-time Spider-Man. Spider-Man Big Time, also written by
You know what
Dan
I want to
Slott.
see, though? I was thinking about this. This is... I quickly want to say, Mike, thanks for tuning in. I know you're headed out the door and going to your local comic shop, so thank you for supporting them. You can always watch the replay later, but thanks for chiming in. Now I lost my train of thought. Dan Slott's collection. Dan Slott's run needs to be collected in a special way, I think.
Well, they would have to because it's so long.
It's all over the place right now. I mean, it's really hard to figure out where do I start and where does it go from there.
Spider-Man by Dan Slott, Volume 1.
Yeah, absolutely. But
17.
don't make it a $40 trade. Do, a $19.99 or something so that it's not...
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well,
Who knows?
they could
the
make,
Daniel Way Deadpool
they could make
trade
the first
sell.
one. They could make the first one $19.99, and then by like Volume 5, if you're in that deep, you're going to keep going, and it's cheaper to buy them in larger ones.
To have some designation on the spine or on the cover or somewhere so that people can follow Slott's incredible run on Spider-Man.
Yes, Dan Slott's Spider-Man Adventure.
Oh, by the way, this is the Nick Bradshaw cover.
Nick Bradshaw. My pick of the week this week is Hanna-Barbera DC Super Sons Dynomutt and the Blue Falcon, written by Peter Tomasi with art by Wally Parsinian. What's his name?
I don't even know.
Someone Parisinian.
Yeah, Passerin.
Seems nice. The art's decent.
It is good.
So this is a
that,
team up between the Super Sons. That would be Damian Wayne, Robin, and John Kent, Superboy.
Fernando.
Passerin. And the Dynomutt and Blue Falcon, although it's more of a Dynomutt team-up than a Blue Falcon team-up. If you are only familiar with Dynomutt from the snippets that they played on Boomerang and Cartoon Network in the 80s and 90s, you're going to be just fine. That's really all you need to know. While I'm not prepared to liken it completely, I think this is very similar to the Elmer Fudd Batman story. It is a serious adult story with these characters, but it's still true to the underlying stuff. Tomasi's written all of the Super Sons and a good chunk of the modern Superman, or the most recent Superman series, so he has a good feel for the characters. There's pathos and feeling and awesome tension, which is surprising when there's a robot dog as the lead character in the book. So I love the crap out of it. There's also a bunch of other ones this week.
Yeah. Yeah, the other ones are Flash,
Aquaman Jabberjaw,
Flash, Speed Buggy, Black Lightning, Hong Kong Phooey, and I can't talk today. Elmer Fudd and Batman. DC and Warner Brothers Looney Tunes did a crossover of 4 different books about a year, maybe 6 months ago. Wasn't that long ago?
It was more than a year. It was more than 6 months ago. Yeah.
And there was a Batman Elmer Fudd one shot written by Tom King, the regular writer on Batman, and art by Lee Weeks, and it is just phenomenal. It is. I mean, and it's a dark, gritty. It's a Batman story with Elmer Fudd in it, and it's Elmer Fudd as if he was a resident of Gotham City,
and a bunch of other Looney Tunes in passing.
Yeah. If you have it, owe it to yourself to track down a copy. They did multiple printings.
Yeah.
It's also available in graphic novel format.
All of them together.
With the original run of Looney Tune DC crossover books.
And that's going to be the team on the Batman issues following the wedding, right? 51, 52 is Lee Weeks and...
Did they announce that?
I think it's in the new previews.
It's in the new previews, which I haven't looked at yet.
And there's also another round of those, including a Selena Kyle and...
Sylvester and Tweety.
Yeah.
Yep.
That looks cool.
Lex Luthor, Porky Pig. Those are the 2 that I noticed, but I imagine they're doing 4.
Probably.
So, which is fun. And these are good. This is not throwaway stuff. This is not, it's not garbage. It's really, really good. I loved this as well, and I grew up watching these guys. Not on Boomerang.
No.
My next one is we'll stay in the Batverse, the DC verse. Batman: Prelude to the Wedding #1. This is Robin, Damian Wayne versus Ra's al Ghul, and this is the first of 5, I believe, perhaps 4.
I think it's 4.
One-shots featuring members of the Bat family fighting bad guys as the wedding of Batman and Catwoman is right around the corner, happening on July 4th. This is written by Tim Seeley, artwork by Brad Walker, and it's excellent. It starts out with Damian and Catwoman kind of shopping for Damian's clothes that he'll wear to the wedding, which is humor-filled. You don't see a lot between Selena and Damian, or we haven't seen a lot, and they actually call that out in this issue. And I thought it was very strong. I thought that the characters were well done. It was interesting to see these two who are kind of anti-heroes in a way. I mean, Damian becoming more and more of a hero, and maybe less a pain in the butt. But he ends up going toe-to-toe with his grandfather, Ra's al Ghul, in a very interesting story that I did not anticipate. So I think it's absolutely worth picking up if you've been reading the Batman books.
Yeah, I loved the beginning and the end are Selina and Damian, and that for me is worth the price of admission alone. It's really well written, really great stuff. Next up for me, the other 500-pound gorilla this week, Man of Steel #1 by Brian Bendis with art by Ivan Rice, and is Prado doing inks, or is that more of the issue? Doesn't matter.
That's probably inks.
So this is the beginning of Brian Michael Bendis' weekly Superman series. This will run for 5 issues, I believe.
5 issues.
5 issues, and then Bendis will take over both Action and Superman, controlling the super universe with an iron fist, I can only assume. It's awesome. It picks up from the things we saw in Action Comics 1000 and in DC Universe 0, and it gives us a new Superman story we've never seen before. We learn some new things about history of Krypton and things going on there. And Lois is still in somewhere.
We don't know.
I don't know. Something's going on, but she's not actively at the planet at the moment, I guess. I really like kind of the human moments. We get to see Superman help stop a fire and talk to people and interact. And that's really, like, Superman can punch stuff all day, but I would rather see him talk to people and be Superman. So I really enjoyed it.
And that's what Bendis is good at.
Yeah, Bendis' dialogue is his strength.
Yeah. I enjoyed it as well.
And if you are a Bendis fan, this new previews has like 3 or 4 non-DC Bendis books coming from DC. So he must have moved over his creator-owned rights and stuff.
He did.
Scarlet's coming back, so that can come out once a year.
No.
Yeah.
We gave up on Scarlet.
But no, that new one he's doing with the Gatos and the other guy who did covers. Yeah, Mac did the covers. But it looks a lot like Jessica Jones. She's a tattoo artist and she has special powers, and like it just reminded me a lot of Jessica Jones, which I love. So.
Next up for me is from Dark Horse Comics. This one was very interesting. It is called Blackwood, written by Evan Dorkin, artwork by Veronica and Andy Fish. Evan Dorkin, you may recall as the writer of Beast of Burden, if I'm not mistaken.
And creator of Milk and Cheese is probably
Milk and Cheese Man.
Recognizable to normal people.
I don't even remember how it goes. And Veronica Fish did the art on the roller derby one that we liked. Slam.
Yep. Slam.
Yep. And this is kind of like the college version of Hogwarts. But
set in our world,
but set in the world of H.P. Lovecraft. So that's not. I don't think that's a bad comparison there. So picture college age kids, 18, 19-year-olds, going to this secret college where there are scary things that go bump in the night. So, and the people that live in this community kind of hate everything that goes on at the college. They wish it wasn't there. The selling point for me, though, are the characters. The characters that were introduced are supposedly they're all there on a scholarship. We don't know how they're chosen, but they all have their flaws. They seem to be from the wrong side of the tracks, or they're super annoying, or all kinds of different things. But I was really pleasantly surprised by this. I picked it up on a whim and ended up enjoying it. This was runner-up for me for pick of the week. So Blackwood #1 from Dark Horse Comics. Highly recommend it. You should check it out.
I enjoyed it also. Last Siege from Image. This is issue #1, written by Landry Q. Walker with art by Justin Greenwood. This is either fantasy or medieval set piece. We've got a small barony or town or castle area whose king or whoever the presiding male figure who owns all the land has died. He left no male heirs. So a enterprising douchebag is going to try and marry his daughter, who's like 14 or something. Like, she does not look marriageable age. To take over all the land. So you get some really interesting stuff from the point of view of the people who live there. The functionaries who are trying to serve this regime change. People who have no real power because they're not nobles. And then we also get to see someone. We see that by the end of this issue, we see that maybe the guy trying to marry the girl is not going to get his way. Maybe things are going to go different. I literally didn't know what was going to go on from page to page. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was well executed medieval fantasy. It's not even really fantasy. There's no magic or anything in it as of yet. There's no orcs or anything, so it could be set in our world. But A+.
Yeah, I liked it too. So The Last Siege is something that you should check out if you're looking for something that's not Marvel or DC. Something that is Marvel is their Superhero Adventures line, which is about a month old. written by Jim McCann, who you may recognize from the Mockingbird Hawkeye miniseries from yesteryear, from many moons ago.
Is that the Dapper Man
guy?
Yes.
Yes. Return of the Dapper Man. That was Jim McCann. So this is kind of the characters are drawn like the Superhero Squad, which I know some retailers and some fans are not entirely thrilled with. But I gave this to my almost 9-year-old last night to read, and he loved it, and he loved the previous issue too, and he wants to keep reading it. So I think that's the point. Marvel is now putting out a comic that is accessible to that kind of maybe 5 to 9 range. And I suggest if you know people who have kids at that age, if you want to get some young kids into comics, whether they're your kids or nieces or nephews or grandchildren, I highly recommend doing it with Superhero Adventures, because it worked with my kid, and that's the future of this industry, is getting kids to read comics at this point and sticking with it. So thumbs up to Marvel for putting this out, and let's not disappoint them. Let's show them that it's a worthy effort, because I think it is. And I didn't read it, but it sounds like I would enjoy it as well. The important thing is my kid liked it.
What are we doing?
Are we doing anything with this guy?
We can.
Go ahead.
Do we want to talk about?
Okay, we'll come to that. We'll come back to that.
Okay, then.
We do have a question from the audience. Matthew wants to know what we thought of Oblivion Song. I don't know what issue they're on. 3, 4?
We got a preview of the first 4 in graphic novel, so I sort of lost.
I read all 4.
So that may be why we're not talking about it as much, because we already read them, so they're not in our mind when we go to pick the books for the week. I like it. I think it's an interesting story. I don't read any of Kirkman's other books regularly, so I don't know comparatively, but I found it interesting. I still like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's Kirkman doing sci-fi. It's enjoyable. Is it something I'm going to stick with? I don't know. I read a lot of comics, and it seems like every week there is something new, and that's part of the problem. It's a good problem to have. There's just so much good content out there, and it's tough to choose. All right, so pick whatever you're going to talk about there.
All right,
that's
so
like the one I can talk about.
This
so
is the one you can talk about?
I can talk about. You talk about the other 2. I'll talk about that one.
All right. So out in graphic novel this week, we've got some awesome stuff. My personal favorite of the bunch is Supergirl Being Super. This is written by Mariko Tamaki with art by Joelle Jones, and this is I honestly couldn't tell you. I've read every issue of it. I think I probably reviewed every issue of it on here. I love this series. It's not necessarily like an Earth 1, because it doesn't really feel like it's in the DC universe. It's just a story of Supergirl's origin, maybe in some other reality, maybe in ours. It's not the traditional DC universe. It's not the one from the TV show. It's really, really good. It's grounded and relatable. Supergirl is a secondary. She's a derivative character. It's not like there was Supergirl and then they made Superman. It was Superman and then we got Supergirl. Her origin and the way her stories are told are always heavily reliant on Kal-El's story, on Superman's story. This is a story of Supergirl without Superman in it at all. And I love the crap out of it. This is probably my favorite version of the Supergirl origin. And this whole graphic novel, these were oversized. These were perfect bound in the original 4-issue series. But it's $16.99. It's a good chunk of comics. It is a self-contained story, and I think anybody who likes a TV show or just likes strong female characters or just likes teenage kind of superheroes would enjoy it.
Or if you're just a fan of Joelle Jones' artwork.
That is something people are a fan of. Lady Killer. She's
going
to be
Batman,
doing the new Catwoman.
The new Catwoman series. Joelle Jones does some awesome stuff.
Yeah.
That is the selling point for me, and that is why I will read it. Next up, out this week in graphic novel. This is going to be an interesting one to talk about.
Say it's not in graphic novel. I mean, it's original to graphic novel.
It's actually
never
an original
been out.
graphic novel.
Yeah.
And that's the way Sunstone was too, right?
Yeah, Sunstone was partially released digitally for free, but in physical format it was only ever published in graphic novel.
So this is by Linda Sedgwick, spouse of Stefan Sedgwick, the Witchblade guy, and he recently did Aquaman. Matt Hawkins, who writes this here?
Matt Hawkins does.
It says created by, and then it does. Okay, there we go. Written by Matt Hawkins and Jenny Chung, art by Linda Sedgwick. All right, so this book is called Swing. This is about a husband and wife a couple who fall madly in love. They go through the courtship and the romance and all that kind of fun stuff.
The courtship and the romance.
I don't think that's what Bill Cosby called it. But then they get married. They have a couple of kids, and like many couples, they start to drift apart, and their life is not what they thought it would be, and so they start thinking of trying some alternative lifestyles. So why are we talking about this? This is by the same creative team that does Sunstone. I should say that did Sunstone, because that's over, right?
It is.
But I'm sure they could pick it back up again.
Yeah, well, no, I think this... I mean, it's set in the same universe.
Okay.
It's sort of a continuation.
So Sunstone deals with some heavy alternative lifestyle issues, like...
Lesbian bondage.
Lesbian bondage, S&M in there. There's... Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah.
The point is, it's incredibly well written and incredibly well drawn.
Yeah, Matt Hawkins, you may remember from Think Tank and several other kind of cerebral Top Cow books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the subject matter is tough to kind of introduce people to, but it's a little bit like Sex Criminals in a way, in that if you can ignore, if you're too prude for some of this stuff, you need to look past it, and if you enjoy good storytelling and good characters, then that's what you're going to find in Sunstone, Sex Criminals, and now Swing. Yeah. So Sunstone has turned out to be a hit. I would say a hit in our store.
Easily.
Because of hand selling, because we introduce people to it, they think it sounds interesting, or they just take us at our words, and they come back.
Or they just like bondage lesbians.
Or, yes, there's a huge audience out there for that. There may be in Lima. 5 volumes of Sunstone?
Yes, 5 volumes, the last of which is massive.
Yes. And Swing Volume 1 comes out.
And you don't have to read Swing at all. None of the characters in this were like key characters in Sunstone. You can follow it easily.
And if I'm not mistaken, all of the... Oh, no, they're giving previews of a couple other books that Linda Sedgwick has done. The... what was that book called? Bloodstain?
I like Bloodstain a lot. That was cool.
A little bit of blood. Was that digital first? That was
digital first. May have been.
And then we have another one called Sugar, which appears to... Oh, there's some sex. There's the sex and...
Yeah, and these are obviously very adult, like explicit.
Yeah, like,
very, very adult.
Yeah.
But awesome. I would literally... I was actually thinking about this because I knew we were probably going to talk about this today. Sunstone is probably my favorite relationship comic ever. Like...
Really?
Strangers in Paradise, even Saga is the one that came closest, but I would argue that Saga is more about the child and the family than about their relationship. Yeah. But yeah, Sunstone is amazing, and I have high hopes for this. I really enjoyed the first volume. So, last up, this one is one that I have not read because it is this thick, and it just came out last night. But this is Where We Live. It's a benefit comic for the survivors of the Las Vegas shooting, and 100% of the proceeds will go to victims of the shooting. It is $19.99. It is got to be 300 pages maybe. It's long. This is comics, text pieces, cartoons, illustrations, splash pages by literally everyone I can imagine. Raphael Albuquerque, Michael Allred, Neil Gaiman, Kelly Sue DeConnick. I assume that's Colin Farrell? No. Joshua Helfialkov, Liam Gallagher, Phil Hester.
Liam Gallagher?
It's just a Gallagher. I'm assuming it's Liam. Todd Klein. Like there's a James Robinson. All the Smiths.
Craig Pack.
Mark Millar, Mike Mignola, Jamie McKelvey, Jeff Lemire,
Fabio Moon, one of the Moons. Yeah, it must be Fabio.
Yeah, it's probably Fabio.
Michael Avon,
Paul Tobin, 3 different Taylors.
Bill Sienkiewicz, Gail Simone.
Yeah, J.H. Williams III, K. Williams,
Dick
R.
Van Dyke.
Williams.
Oh wait, that's not. It's some other Van
Michael
Dyke.
Gaydos. But yeah, it's by a whole bunch of people. This is a lot like in the same kind of spirit as the
Love is Love.
Love is Love that came out last year, which was really good.
And if you're old like me, the 9/11 books that came out.
Yeah, it is. It is a very much like that. But yes, great creators, good cause. You should buy it.
If you like good comics and if you like supporting good causes, Where We Live is for you.
Yep.
We do
Where
want
We Live
to.
is for you.
Where We Live is for you. Also out this week, finally, Lando, Double or Nothing. This is a prequel to the Solo, A Star Wars Story movie, which opened last weekend.
It happens in the universe before. I don't know if I would categorize it as a prequel at this point. But
it may have happened a week before.
Yeah, no way to know.
We don't know. But this was a really strong start. I enjoyed it. Written by Rodney Barnes, artwork by Paolo Villanelli. Really good stuff. But more importantly, you need to go see Solo. You
Absolutely.
need to ignore the haters. You need to ignore all the stuff in the media about how it's a bomb and how there were problems and blah, 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 blah. If you're a Star Wars fan, you need to go see it because it's an excellent movie.
It is. You may have remembered us fighting a little bit about Episode 8 and other things in the past. We're on the same page on Solo. It's totally good. I can't imagine someone who likes Star Wars not enjoying it.
I can't either.
Now, I mean, This is not going to rewrite the universe. Clearly everybody knows that Chewbacca, Lando, Han, and the Falcon are all going to make it out in relatively okay condition. But it's a thrill ride. It's fun. It's funny. It moves these characters into a period we've never seen them in.
There's a ton of content for Star Wars fans. You don't have to be a longtime diehard Star Wars fan to enjoy it.
Right.
I'm not sure where the ball got dropped, whether it was the marketing, whether it was the negative word of mouth, whether people are just expecting too much from a Star Wars movie every year at this point.
Right.
But I would love to see the second weekend box office only fall 25% or something. I don't know.
Well, it doesn't have a lot of competition right now, so it's possible.
So if you've been holding back for one reason or another, please go see it. Go see it today or this weekend soon to send the message that we do like Star Wars movies that are good and not The Last Jedi.
I mean, it's Ron Howard who did Willow and Apollo 13. There's no reason not to want to see this. It's written by or co-written by Lawrence Kasdan, who wrote the greatest Star Wars movie ever written.
And wrote the greatest movie of all time, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I'm not going to fight you on that right now.
Mm-hmm. So there you go.
So,
we liked Solo.
And if you did see Solo, you'll probably like what's going on in Lando. We get to see L3, L7, his robot friend, and she was one of my favorite parts of the movie. So, yes.
It was great.
It was. I enjoyed it.
Good.
I've seen it twice, and
that's right.
Yeah, we went back on.
So there you have it. Man, this is a bonus-filled episode full of all kinds of stuff. So thank you to all of you that tuned in. Angel, Paul, Mike, Ed, Jeff, Matthew, Tolga, everyone watching. And for those of you that are watching this on replay, thank you very much. If you enjoyed this week's episode, please like, comment, and share. We'll be sure to get to all of your comments if we haven't addressed them already after the fact. And head out to your local comic shop, pick up some comics that are awesome, and keep reading comics.
So these dogs, they're a problem, all right? We know about the dog problem. What I need to worry about now is what do we send after the robots when the robots become the problem? I suggest cybernetic badgers.